So you just got your VO2 Max test results back. You see a number, 58 milliliters per minute per kilo. Is that good? Is it bad? What do you actually do with it? Here's what most people don't realize. That single number, while very important, is only 20% of what the test actually measured. The other 80% is buried in data that most testing facilities don't know how to interpret. That hidden data reveals whether your heart, lungs, or muscles are your real bottleneck. And more importantly, it tells you exactly what to train to improve. I'm Dr. Z. I interpret these tests almost daily, and in this video, I'm breaking down what your VO2 Max test results really mean and what to do about them. It's not just about getting a better workout plan. Understanding your full test results can show us if you're limited by your heart's pumping power, your lungs' efficiency, or your muscles' ability to use oxygen. But even more importantly, some of these hidden numbers can be the earliest warning signs for heart or lung issues long before you would ever feel a symptom. Getting the right interpretation isn't just about fitness, it's about your long-term health. So why doesn't every testing center explain all this? The reality is that this level of data interpretation is hard to get. It's specialized training that combines exercise physiology, metabolic science, and clinical medicine. I had to go out and learn it from PhD exercise physiologists at Duke's metabolics department and from Olympic coaches. Most facilities are trained to measure VO2 max and just report the number, but the deeper pattern recognition that reveals cardiac issues, breathing dysfunction, or metabolic limitations, that requires specialized education most places simply don't have. And to show you exactly what they're missing, let's think of your body as a factory. Basically, your muscles doing work, burning fuel. But to do any work, that factory needs a special resource, oxygen. The problem is the oxygen's outside, so your body has a complex supply chain to get it to the factory floor. First, you have a loading dock, which is your lungs. They pull oxygen in from the air. Second, you have a conveyor belt, which is your heart and blood vessels. They move the oxygen from the loading dock into the factory itself. A bottleneck just means that one part of this whole supply chain is slowing you down. Your VO2 Max test is a full inspection that finds the slowest part. Is it the loading dock, the lungs, the conveyor belt, the heart, or the factory itself, the muscles? In this video, we're going to go through each of these three bottlenecks. First, I'll show you how we check the factory itself, your muscles, and if they're burning fuel inefficiently. Second, we'll look at a key metric that acts as a report card for your conveyor belt system, the heart, by using a number called O2 pulse. And finally, I'll explain the surprising number that reveals if your loading dock, your lungs, are the real weak link by looking at your breathing pattern and efficiency. Let's start with the factory itself, your muscles. Your VO2 Max test measures the way you burn fuel very precisely. We track something called your RER, or respiratory exchange ratio, which is a number that shows us what fuel your body is burning, whether it's fats or carbohydrates. When the RER is close to 0.7, you're burning fat. When it's 1 or higher, you're burning pure sugar. And in between, it's a mix of the two. And as you start to exercise, a metabolically flexible person will have an RER close to 0.7, showing that they're burning fat. But as you get faster, as you're working harder, your body must start burning more and more carbs. The point where fat and carbohydrates are contributing equally is an RER of 0.85, right between 0.7 and 1. And at that point, you are at the true top of your zone 2. Most training facilities estimate this with a guess, using some percentage of your estimated max heart rate, but that often isn't accurate for you as an individual. The only way to really know is to check your fuel mix by checking your RER. If you hit this 0.85 RER point very quickly at a very low intensity, we know that your muscles aren't efficient at burning fuel. The training to correct this has two parts. First, long, steady zone 2 workouts to teach your muscles to get better at burning fat. And second, we add short, all-out sprints to build more and better mitochondria, the tiny engines inside your muscles. Now, for a different problem, what if your muscles burn fuel just fine, but your heart just can't keep up the supply? This suggests your conveyor belt system is the bottleneck. Your heart is pumping, but it's not enough. It can't deliver enough oxygen-rich blood with each beat to keep up with the factory's demand. The key hidden number here is called the O2 pulse. We calculate this by taking the oxygen your body's using, your VO2, and dividing it by your heart rate. Assuming that your muscles are still using up all the oxygen they get, which we use near-infrared technology to verify, this number, the O2 pulse, gives us insight into what we call your stroke volume. That's the amount of blood your heart physically pumps with each beat. In a healthy test, this number should climb up and up as you work harder and harder. But if your test shows your O2 pulse flattens out early, it's a huge clue that your heart isn't pushing out more blood with each pump. Let me show you what this looks like in real data. This patient's O2 pulse plateaued and stayed flat. We did a cardiac workup and found severe mitral valve dysfunction, something that could have gone undetected for years. And that's why this analysis matters. Now, if there's no structural problem with the heart, just a lack of training, then the fix for a conveyor bottleneck is not long, slow zone 2. The fix is high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, like the famous Norwegian 4x4 workouts. This type of training is what forces the heart to adapt by stretching, gaining size and strength so it can pump more blood with each beat, increasing the overall delivery to your muscles. Now finally, let's talk about a third and often missed bottleneck, the loading deck or your lungs. Instead of taking deep, full breaths, without realizing it, you might start hyperventilating when you work out, taking fast, shallow breaths. This breathing pattern is incredibly inefficient. You're moving a ton of air, but you're only using part of your lungs to do it, and that means blood is flowing past parts of the lung that you aren't inflating. And that creates what we call a VQ mismatch, or a shunt, where your lungs can't really get all the oxygen into the blood because some blood is going past lung that's not being used. The data we look for to evaluate that is called ventilatory efficiency, or VE over VCO2, and the slope of that line confirms the inefficiency. If this number goes up very quickly with a small amount of added intensity, it means that there is a mismatch of some kind. Either it's an early indication of heart or lung disease, or it's a sign of breathing inefficiency. Depending on the context and the risk factors, we might order additional heart or lung testing, or if we see a direct link between the mismatch and the hyperventilation, then the fix is breath retraining. We teach you to take slower, deeper diaphragmatic breaths to retrain this pattern. A pro tip is to practice this during recovery periods from your hard workouts, forcing your body to learn efficient breathing even under stress. Now here's the thing. Most testing facilities give you the VO2 Max number and send you home. That's like getting a car diagnostic that only tells you your check engine light is on, but doesn't tell you whether it's your transmission, your oxygen sensor, or just a loose gas cap. The number tells you that there's something to pay attention to, but it doesn't tell you what's actually limiting you or how to fix it. For the vast majority of people, the most important place to start is by fixing that fuel problem and building your base with Zone 2 training. But it's also the easiest workout to get wrong. And that's why I've made a complete video that breaks down exactly how to get your real Zone 2 using your RER 0.85 and how to structure the workout. Click on the video on the screen right now to watch that next.